Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am Terry Hartley at Rustic Barn Cards, independent Stampin'Up demonstrator coming to you from Iowa. I hope all of you are doing well. I can't believe that Thanksgiving is next week. The month of November is really going by quickly. Today, though, I have a fun project because I'm going to be using Wildly Flowering Designer Series paper, which is in the annual catalog, and I'm going to be using a hybrid embossing folder, and that is called Thoughtful Moments. So today, I'm going to show you three different ways that you can use this embossing folder, and I'll be giving you some, different ways that you can use embossing folder and add ink to your words when you use the hybrid embossing folder, and show you how to use it. And we're going to make some cards along the way. So, and plus, as I mentioned, Thanksgiving is next week, and we all know that the day after Thanksgiving is Black Friday. And a lot of stores have specials going on right now. Well, I also have Black Friday special starting today, and I'm going to run it through December 3rd because I know how busy some of you are preparing for Thanksgiving. So I'm going to give you a few extra days after Thanksgiving if you want to take advantage of my Black Friday special. So let me turn the camera down and I'll give you all the details. All right. All right. Before we get started, I just want to share my ordering special, my Black Friday special, and it is in the description. When you place at least a $40 order with me now, November 19th through December 3rd, you must use the host code, and it is in the description. Place a $40 order with me before tax and shipping, and I will send you free 24 sheets of designer series paper. Some of it will be current, some will be retired, and I will send you a full package of current embellishments. Also, 3 handmade cards. I will send envelopes with those 3 handmade cards so they're ready for you just to sign your name and send to someone and make someone's day happy. If your order is over $100, I will send you the same, plus I will add something from a retired stash, and it will be a surprise that I will send. So again, all that, the details are in the description. All right. Well, today we're going to use a Thoughtful Moments, and this is a, I guess I haven't, comes with the embossing folder. So this is the 3D embossing folder, and I love this because all the sentiments are ones that are that you would like to use, like thank you, hello, celebrate, just because, get well, you make me happy, with sympathy, love you, thinking of you, oh, happy day. So all of these are great sentiments to use for all occasion cards. And then we have the dies. So we have the large die that fits inside our embossing folder. And then we also have some extra dies. Now, the magnet board, I added my dies on here, so that does not come on a magnet board. But we have some leaves and like a rainbow, flowers, hearts. So you have some extra that dies that you can add to your cards. So again, this comes together as a set. The embossing folder and the dies. So you get both of these as a set. Now I'm also going to be using the stylish shapes. I'm going to be using the circle, the next to the largest one for our cards today. So first of all, we're going to make a card, and I'm going to use our dies in our embossing folder. I'm going to show you how to use it. And then I'm going to be I'll show you two different ways that you can add ink. So the first card that we're going to make, we are not going to be adding, we're not going to be using any ink, actually. We're just going to be using cardstock and our embossing folder and our dies. But let me show you the paper that we're going to use, which is Wildly Flowering. And this is also in the annual catalog. And this paper is so pretty. It uses Moody Mauve, Misty Moonlight, Mossy Meadow, Wild Wheat. So it's a lot of flowers, and it's really, really pretty. Then on the back side, you have some just solid colors. And then you have also some smaller flowers. And then you have some with just a background of images of flowers. And for our first card, we're going to use this designer series paper right here. No, actually, we're not. I said that, but let me see. We're going to be using this paper right here for our first card. And maybe all the cards. We will see. Okay, so what you do, notice that we have Stampin' Up here. It opens up. Then we have kind of the binding edge here. So we're going to open this up, and we are going to take our dies, and we're going to have the cutting toward you, cutting up, and we're going to place it on the Stampin' Up side where it says Stampin' Up, and it will fit. And then you just kind of slide it around, and it kind of locks in, so you'll be able to tell that it, it catches and it fits. Then I'm going to bring in a little piece of Misty Moonlight. Now, if I wanted to do all of these sentiments, I would need a 6x6. And we will be doing that later. But right now, I want to make my card is just going to be thank you. So I am just going to place my Misty Moonlight over here on the right-hand side. And then I am going to close this. So you see, I'm going to get the thank you. I'm going to get oh happy day. And I could also, like I said, I could do a 6x6. So I have lots of extra words if I wanted to. And then I'm going to run this through with the Stampin' Up towards me, and then this edge here through our embossing, cut and emboss machine. So I brought my cut and emboss machine. I'm just using plate 1, and I'm going to place this with that binding or the folded edge. It's going to go in first, and we have the Stampin' Up side up toward us, and then I'm going to bring in plate 4. Which is the gray plate. And then we're just going to go ahead and crank this through. Let me move this out of the way. And now we have, take this off, and we have thank you. And we also, oh, happy day for another card. So I am bringing in a card base, basic white thick, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. I've already folded that. And then I'm going to bring in a piece of Mossy Meadow, which is 5 1/4 by 4. And then I'm going to bring in designer series paper, the Wildly Flowering, which I've already cut at 3 3/4 by 5. And we're going to layer those together. So I'll bring in my favorite adhesive. What is your favorite adhesive? Let me know in the comments. So this will work to the muted flowers on the back of the Misty Moonlight Designer Series paper. So I'm just going to layer this. So these are going to be quick and easy cards. And I showed you how to use the hybrid embossing folder, but we're going to be doing a couple other things with it too. So stay tuned. Then I'm going to bring in this piece of Misty Moonlight. And it is 3/4 by 3 3/4. And it's going to fit just right across the Designer Series paper. And I'll try to get that straight. And then we're going to bring in our stylish shape circle. And again, it's next to the largest. Didn't want it to be too large because I love the Designer Series paper and I don't want to cover too much of that up. And then we're going to turn over the thank you. We don't need the happy day for right now, so I'm going to put that aside. And we're going to pop up thank you. And I think I can get 3 there. Okay, before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and add our cardstock layers to our card base. And line it up the best I can. And then apply pressure. And now we'll take the backings off our basic white stylish circle. And I'm going to try to line it up so I have about the same amount of Misty Moonlight on each side. Take off the backings, and I'm going to add thank you. Then I'm going to bring in, now these gems are the Regal foiled adhesive back dots, and these are in our mini catalog. So I'm going to use these. And these work really well with this paper. And I think I'll just put one right there. And right down here. So here is our first card using the hybrid embossing folder and the dies. And thank you. So we were able to emboss the thank you. If you can see that, there's some embossing there. And we were able to die cut all in one go through on the cut and emboss machine. Now, let's do, let's add some ink and let's make another card. So I'm going to bring in a blending brush, bring in our embossing folder, and I'm bringing in Misty Moonlight. So I'm going to open this up, and I am going to use the blending brush, and we're going to go ahead and add ink to all of the words. So we're going to cut out all the words. Now you can use, I could use Misty Moonlight ink, and I could also then use Misty Moonlight cardstock. But since Misty Moonlight's a little bit dark, I would probably use maybe Night of Navy ink if I was going to use Misty Moonlight cardstock. But we're going to use basic white today, so for this. So I'm just going to go ahead. Now you can take your ink pad, but this is a little bit less messy this way. And go ahead and add ink to our words. Then you can go back over if you want them a little bit darker. Now we're just going to we're making thank you cards today. But this way you'll have lots of sentiments that you can keep, and then you can make quick cards because your sentiments are already ready to go. So I'm going to add just a little more ink on the thank you. And we'll just go back over. All right. Let's close this. Bring in my 6x6 basic white. And we're going to get the dies. And we're going to put the dies right in here. Can you hear that kind of snap in? And then we're going to place our 6x6 basic white, and then we're going to run this through the machine. And again, we're going to have the Stampin' Up facing forward and that closed edge going in first. So here's the Stampin' Up symbol, and then we're just going to crank it through. And again, I'm using plates 1 and plates 4. And let's see what we have. So we have basic white sentiments, and they are outlined in Misty Moonlight. We're going to keep our thank you. But I have hello, celebrate. So I have thinking of you. So I have all of these other sentiments that I can keep and then just choose from when I want to send a card. And then I can just use my chamois to clean this off. I can run it under the faucet, but I can also just go ahead and clean it this way to get most of the ink off, and then just run it under the faucet to clean it. Now let's make a card using this thank you that we just made. So again, basic white card base. I always use basic white thick for my card bases. This time I'm going to bring in Misty Moonlight and for the layer and our designer series paper. So we'll go ahead and adhere these together. When I add my glue, a little adhesive, I touch the designer series paper or the cardstock. I touch the tip of my glue bottle to my cardstock or my paper, so I just get a fine line, because we really do not need a lot of glue. Whoop. Did you see what I was going to do? But we want to add this to our Misty Moonlight cardstock layer first. And get that lined up. And then I'm going to bring in Misty Moonlight strip and Mossy Meadow. So here it could be a contrasting, or I could have it the same. So let's bring in our circle. I think we're going to use the contrasting. We're going to use the Mossy Meadow. And so I add some adhesive.
But of course you could use Moody Mauve, you could use Misty Moonlight to go with the cardstock. Then I'm going to add this to our card base. Just like this. And then I'm going to bring in Misty Moonlight. So we're going to use Misty Moonlight instead of Basic White, which I've already die cut out using the stylish shape next to the largest. And then we're going to bring in our thank you. So our first card, we didn't use any ink, but we did use Misty Moonlight ink for this card. And we used a blending brush to add ink to our embossing folder. And I have one more way to show you how to add ink to the embossing folder. And then you can just try, you know, whichever that you like. And then we're going to pop this right here. So what do you think? You like that? Let's go ahead and bring in our gems. I'm going to bring in my Take Your Pick tool. Trying to think. I think we're going to go with the same ones. And I'm going to put that right here. So I'm using the Misty Moonlight. And put it down here. So here is our second card, quick and easy. And you see how the Misty Moonlight, how that made a border on the thank you. So the embossing folder raises the thank you up, and then we outlined the thank you in Misty Moonlight. Okay, let me show you the next way. So now we are going to use the brayer. And let's make a card using another sheet of Designer Series paper from the Wild Leaf Flowering. So this has Moody Mauve, Wild Wheat, I think Garden Green, maybe, and one more color. Let's see. Early Espresso, and we even have some crumb cake. So isn't this beautiful? Okay, let's go ahead and we're going to use Moody Mauve ink. And I just ran this under the faucet, took a towel and dried it off, and it is all ready to go. So what I like about our brayer is that you can set it down because it has these little feet. So you do not get ink on your crafting table. But when you pick up ink with your ink pad, you want to turn it over so the feet are up. So the feet doesn't, you know, so you want to do it with it up. It just makes it, I think it makes it a little bit easier. Okay, so we're going to open up our Moody Mauve. Now, another way that I'm not going to show you today, but you can take, instead of using a blending brush or a brayer to add ink, you can just take your ink pad and ink up. But I find that to be a little bit messy, and so I like this better. So we're just going to go ahead and just ink up our brayer with our Moody Mauve. And then we're just going to go ahead and add it to our embossing folder. Want to make sure I get that C well here, right here, of Celebrate. Okay, now I'm going to lay this down here. I'm going to close up our Moody Mauve. I'm going to bring in another 6x6 basic white. And I think I'm going to move this completely out of the way so we don't get into any ink. First thing we're going to do is bring in our dyes, and then I'm going to go ahead and add our dyes. And did you see what I need to turn it over the right way so it'll snap in place? Because you can kind of line this up by the words. So, and again, it'll just snap right in place. And then I'm going to place our 6x6 basic white, close our embossing folder, and then let me bring in our cut and emboss machine. Plate 1, and the Stampin' Up is toward me, and the folded edge is there. I'm going to add plate 4, and then we're just going to crank it through. Okay, let's see what we have. Okay, let's open it up. Take off our dies, or take off our die. This is one large one, and we have outlined in Moody Mauve. Now we're going to do this one more time using Moody Mauve. Only we're going to use Moody Mauve cardstock so I can show you what it looks like on tone on tone. Okay, so I've just added some Moody Mauve ink with the brayer off camera. And I just did these first 4 words because I'm just going to bring in a small piece of Moody Mauve, and I'm going to bring in our dies. So I want the cutting edge toward me. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in place. Make sure it locks in. Then I'm going to take the cardstock, Moody Mauve, and I'm going to fold that because I'm not going to do all of the words. In plate 1, we want to make sure that Stampin' Up is toward us, which means it'll be the flat part of the die looking at you. Put plate 4 on. So this is tone on tone. I use Moody Mauve ink on Moody Mauve cardstock. And we'll see what we have. All right. Let's go ahead and I'm going to move this out of the way. And again, I'll just run this under the faucet. You can let it dry, air dry, or you can use a towel. So here we have tone on tone. So I don't know if you can see or not, but they are outlined. So it is outlined in Moody Mauve. And I also think lighter, let's say like peach pie, lemon lolly, some of the lighter colors. And you can also always use a darker color. So to make your outline too. So, but here I use tone on tone. And I know it's a little bit hard to see, but it is outlined in Moody Mauve on Moody Mauve. So now I have lots of sentiments to choose from, but let's go ahead and make that our last card. So we have our basic 8.5 by 5.5 card base, basic white thick, scored at 4 1/4. And I'm bringing in Moody Mauve cardstock, cut at 5 1/4 by 4. Bringing in the Designer Series paper that is cut at 3 3/4 by 5. And once again, I'm going to layer those together. And then we're going to look at all of the cards. I know after the holidays, we will need thank you cards, and you may need some before the holidays. So this is a quick and easy card to make. You could even pop this up with dimensionals on your card front. I'm just going to go ahead and add our green glue for adhesive. And I need to pull that just a little bit. All right, and now I'm going to use wild wheat for our strip, and that is 3/4 by 3 3/4. And I'm going to put this one just a little bit lower. So I've been kind of putting the others almost in the middle, but I'm going to do this just a little bit different. Okay, and then do I want Moody Mauve? I'm going to use the basic white that we cut. So I like that. But there's lots of ways, you know, you could do this. You could also do this. So you could pop that up on the basic white and just have the outline. But I think I like that. So once again, we're going to add dimensionals on the back. I've already added the dimensionals, taken off the backings. So we're going to place that right down here. Trying to keep the two sides the same, about the same amount of space above and below. And then we're going to add our thank you. Of course, you could always kind of angle it if you wanted to. And then I'm going to bring in our gems, and these are in the mini catalog Regal foiled, and I'm going to use the pink ones right here that kind of, I think when we put it on here it will look like Moody Mauve, or close enough. Let's see, put that up there. And put that right down there. So here is our third card. So this card we used our brayer and basic white to add our ink. Thank you. Our first card, we didn't use any ink at all, and we just used the embossing folder and the dies to cut out the thank you. And then we used a blending brush for our second card to add ink to our embossing folder. And then here we added Moody Mauve tone on tone that, you know, you could also put right on there also. Or you could use basic white and do it like that. So lots and lots of different ideas. Let me know which one is your favorite. And I want to show you just from just now, I can pick them all up, all of these sentiments that I now can choose from when I make a card that will make it so much quicker and easier. Thank you for watching my video. I really appreciate it. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Please consider subscribing by clicking that subscribe button. You'll be notified when I upload videos or I go live. And I'm usually live on Tuesday at 1 p.m. Don't forget, I have a Black Friday special ordering, or Black Friday ordering special. And more information is in the description. Have a wonderful week. I will see you next week. Take care and bye for now. I'm Terry Hartley at Rustic Barn Cards.